Hello, welcome to my little trip down road testing memory lane. Thanks for all your questions and comments as ever. Today we're going to talk about the news from the Nurburgring that in 2025 motorcycles have been banned from the Nurburgring's Nordschleife pay and play days. Now we'll go into a little bit more depth in a minute, but first of all, just to explain what the Nurburgring is. Obviously, it's a racetrack in Germany, and it's on the west side of Germany, not too far from Belgium, not too far from Spa, near Aachen. There's an old circuit and a new circuit. So the new circuit is basically a normal Formula One style circuit where they do car racing, national championship bike racing. They used to do World Superbike there. So it's a sort of thoroughly modern racing circuit as we kind of know today, you know, like Silverstone or whatever. Then there's an old track, and that's the track we're kind of talking about. It's called the Nordschleife or the Nordschleife. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. But that is many regard as one of the best circuits in the world. It's about 13 miles long. It's got 70 odd corners. It used to be a Grand Prix track. So it's famous for a lot of Formula One races. Unfortunately, where Niki Lauda had his big crash and he was involved in a car fire. It's where 500 Grand Prix even used to race, sort of back in the Kenny Roberts days. It's just magical. It undulates through the woods, through the forests. Very technical, very fast. There's probably no corner slower on a bike than third gear. And there's some real quick fifth gear corners as well, maybe sixth. Not much runoff, which is why they don't do modern racing there anymore. Very, very special. A lot of atmosphere. But what makes it so special is that it's also a toll road, and it's pretty unique in the world. So being a toll road and not actually a racetrack on their tourist drive days, as they call them, you can rock up at the Nurburgring, buy a ticket, and drive or ride on the track, which is pretty unique. You don't need any track training. There's no safety briefing. Basically, if your car or bike is road legal, off you go. Back when I first started going, I used to have vans and lorries and coaches and all sorts out there on the track at the same time as bikes. But that's been tightened up over recent years, and the kind of traffic they allow on there is restricted. So that's the track. Why is it so special? Well, for the very fact it's pay and play. You know, you don't need to organise it in advance. You basically just need to have a look at the Nurburgring's calendar. You can see when they're open. Quite a lot of the time they're open at weekends, open in evenings, and the odd weekday as well through the sort of spring, summer and autumn season. It's devilishly fast, as I said. You get to experience the track with fellow petrol heads. Basically, where you congregate before you go on the track is a big car park where there's a cafe there, and it's full of cars and bikes. So, you know, most motorcyclists like cars as well. You know, it's a mechanical thing, it's a speed thing, and the cars that you'll get in the car park are track prepared generally. They're all road cars with road number plates and everything, but they're generally a little bit lower. They've got better wheels, better suspension. The whole place smells of burning clutch and brakes. It's just a magical experience to share the whole place with petrol heads. It's very hard to learn. I'd say, you know, when you go, it takes a good 10 or so laps. So you're talking, you know, 10 lots of 13 miles, so 130 odd miles before you can even start to recognise where you're going. Nowadays, it would have been easier with computer games and everything, but you still don't get the undulation and the fact that everything's so blind. And it's just sort of the ultimate expression of motorcycle freedom, which is, you know, that gets close to pure road racing. It's kind of a slightly more sanitized version of the TT, if you like. You know, it's somewhere where in the past you can just go along and enjoy your bike. And, you know, the history there, the cars there. When I first started going, you had the legendary ring taxis there, which are still around, but there are fewer ring taxis there. The M5 ring taxis, the BMWs that used to just slide their way around the track. with people in them was just amazing. It's a mecca for a lot of bikers. It's a mecca for me. It's not for everybody, but it's somewhere I used to enjoy going a lot. I first started going in the early 2000s, but it really kind of became really, really popular in the early noughties when Top Gear went there, when you had Jeremy Clarkson and Sabine Smith, who lives there. She's got a hotel. Her family had a hotel, God rest her, called the Tiergarten. And that made the Nurburgring really, really popular and a destination for mainly car people. And it became busier and busier and busier. A lot of my friends loved the ring so much that they moved there. Dale Lomas, who's a former performance bikes journalist, who you probably all know, he moved out there, became a ring instructor, really good driver. Another friend of mine, Billy Burke, who I used to live with down in Thanet and Ramsgate area, moved there because he loved the ring so much. My first ever time at the Nurburgring was with a tour company in 2000. Before my MCN days, a company called Burn Up used to do organised tours there, and I went with a few of my friends in a big group, and we rode there via France, Luxembourg and Belgium, which was fantastic. I had my Ducati 916, so they were my first ever laps there. At the time it was €8 a lap to do, so quite affordable. One of the years I went there, it was just leading up to the road test idol competition where I won my job as a road tester. And I remember being on the ferry on the way there, and one of the stages of road test idol was to answer 100 questions about bikes. And it was just before kind of the internet really took hold, and really before Google was around, so I couldn't cheat with the internet. So I basically photocopied all the questions and asked my friends to help me fill them in. So that maybe my bike knowledge was lacking, but my journalistic sensibilities were there, because journalism was all about finding stuff out. I've been most years since 2000, once or twice a year. I'd say my best ever times at the Nurburgring would be sort of the mid noughties to the late noughties, where we used to go in convoy with all of my friends from down in Ramsgate. Convoy of bikes and cars, used to take the scenic route there, get there for late afternoon, squeeze in a couple of evening laps, stay at the Tiergarten, go to their restaurant where you used to get these steaks on hot stones, memorabilia everywhere. I mean, it's still there, kind of like a hard rock cafe for petrol heads. And we used to razz round, in cars and bikes. We used to borrow each other's cars and bikes and go around. Race my little brother around there a lot on bikes. He's always been a car man as well, so we've had some good car v bike kind of, not races, because a motorbike is generally faster than a car around the ring, just because it can accelerate out the corners so fast. But cars do go very, very quick, because there's not too many slow corners at the ring, and that's where cars suffer, is accelerating out of slow corners compared to bikes. So there's not a lot in it between me and my brother. And another highlight for me is when we did an MCN test of sports touring bikes, and we rode to the ring, and we had Martin Brundle, the Formula One driver, with us, which was amazing. And I don't think he'd ever been on a track before on a motorbike, and actually hadn't done too many laps of the old Nurburgring circuit, believe it or not, although he'd raced at the new track. And I just remember how fast he was. No surprise there, being a Formula One driver, but just riding the bike without hanging off or anything like that, mega lean. So that was impressive. Never really chased lap times around there. Quite a dodgy thing to do. There's a lot of people that do, and nowadays they'd take apps on their phone that are actually data loggers as well. But I guess I was sort of comfortably under 8 minutes, had a 7 in front of it. And the last time I went to the ring was last summer, the end of last summer, August. I'd done a track day at Spa on my Super Duke on a road to the ring with my girlfriend Nina. and we did a couple of laps in the evening, 2-up. So my last ever laps of the ring were 2-up laps, and it had been raining, and we basically squeezed a couple of laps out towards the end, but in sketchy conditions. And I was riding with Billy, who I just mentioned, and Dale, kind of chaperoning me round to tell me where the safe bits were, because some of the ring in the wet is ultra slippery. And that was it. And I think Billy was telling me she probably would have been one of the last females to go around the track as well, ever now, as it turns out. And I think it was about €30 a lap. So it became very, very expensive to go. So what's happened there? So, due to safety concerns, the organisers say they're going to cancel all the pay and plays. So the only time you can go there, in the conventional sense where you buy a ticket and you just go on, is if you've got a car. So it's cars only. There are going to be some motorcycle only training events. There's going to be 4 days worth in 2025. And then an Anlassen event, which is basically a lap, and it's a convoy lap, a very, very slow lap. So I've done some of these training events before, which have been good, but they're generally led. So even though if you go in a fast group, you can get a lick on, and it is amazing to go around track, but it's not quite the same. And also, over the years, bikes have started to be kind of pushed out anyway, because when a bike crashes around the ring, it kind of stops everything while the bike's being recovered and all the rest of it. Every time the ring's shut, then they lose an absolute stack of money. So obviously they weren't that keen on bikes going around anyway. When the ring was busy, they used to stop bikes going around. So even if you turned up on one of these pay and play days, there wasn't any guarantee that you'd get in. And if you went there when it was wet as well, sometimes they wouldn't let you on. So yeah, it's a shame. So if you want to find out more about what's happening at the Nurburgring, Dale Lomas has got a website called bridgetogantry.com. So have a look on that, and he'll be doing some updates. Maybe they'll change their mind and let bikes back on. Maybe they'll do bike only tourist drives, who knows. But for now, our fun is curtailed. But it's quite interesting to hear about some of your experiences around the track and some of your questions. So first up is from 04YZFR6. Wonder what bike you've got. And you simply say, was it that dangerous for motorcycles? Well, unfortunately, yes. So, riding a bike there in isolation is dangerous, especially if you decide to go too fast too soon. Everyone always says, and the advice you give to new riders around the ring is to treat it like a fast road ride. The minute you start treating it like a racetrack is when it starts getting a little bit dangerous. Then there's no runoff. So if you crash and hit something, it's not going to be as good for you as if that happened at a normal circuit with lots of runoff. There's high curbs, there's barriers. A lot of the ground is spray painted. There's a lot of graffiti on the ground as well, which can be slippery. Wet weather can be slippery. So even riding a bike around there in isolation, yes, it's dangerous and it's very, very fast. But that adds to the freedom of it all. And used to, when you finish a lap at the Nurburgring and you are shaking with adrenaline, there's nothing like it. That's one of the attractions of motorcycles. The inherent danger. There's no getting away from that, as well as all the freedom and everything. As soon as you introduce cars into the mix, then yeah, it does become dangerous. There's a strict overtaking rule at the ring where if you're being overtaken, you've got to pull over to the right and indicate over to the right. If you are overtaking, you've got to overtake on the left. And that works as long as everybody's obeying it. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the cars refuse to move over. Sometimes they don't want to move over. Sometimes they don't see you. So there's a chance of collisions. There's quite often the case when a car crashes, and it will be in the middle of the track or debris everywhere. and you haven't seen it coming around a blind corner on your bike, so there can be problems there. Sometimes when the cars cut the curbs, they can kind of rip the bottoms out of their cars. You get oil leaks, you get water leaks, and if you're the next on the scene on a motorcycle, that can be bad. You know, the marshalling and the safety there is as good as it can be. It's you know, there's cameras everywhere, there's people watching what's going on, but you know, accidents still do happen. So you can see why the organisers have done this and separated out the bikes from the cars. Although I used to enjoy that, you know, when I used to race my brother around there, and being inches from the back bumper of a fast car is something very special. And yeah, that was one of my abiding memories. But yeah, probably pretty dangerous. So yeah, it was pretty dangerous for bikes. So next one, there's a couple there from Rostinelli, so no more bikes. And the Ant 9821 has replied, yeah, for dedicated motorcycle track days this year, no shared track time with cars, as we've said. To be honest, I wouldn't want to go there with cars on track at the same time anyway. Seems like a decent idea to me. Just hope they increase the number of days in the future. But yeah, like I was saying, it's not for everybody. And yeah, at the moment we're only getting 4 days this year. So let's hope we get more, because it's on a lot of people's bucket lists. This one's from John Beatty, 2609. Absolutely gutted. Hope they put on more dates than just the Doc Scholl and Motorrad Action Team events in the future. Can see these filling up fast now. Absolutely. So yeah, you still can get your Nurburgring fix on 2 wheels. You just got to do one of these training days. Archambaud, sad. Absolutely. You only live once. Says heading over for a week in May. Was in 2 minds if I was going to ride to the circuit. The decision's made now. Anyway, supposed to be great roads around the area. And Gilo Moto 5148 has replied, make sure you head down to Cockham on the 257, then 259, then 258 from Blankenheim to the Ring is awesome to enjoy. Absolutely, that's the other great sort of reason to make the pilgrimage to the Nurburgring like we used to do. The roads surrounding the Ring are absolutely amazing, and as you say, the 257, the 259, the 258 are just beautiful roads that wind their way through the forests, wide, smooth, and you know, in many ways better than the circuit itself. So you know, it's still worth a journey to that neck of the woods. Be interesting to know how much revenue the Ring will lose and the local economy will lose. You know, and that's probably one of the main reasons it stayed open. If you suggested to the powers that be now you wanted to open this massive dangerous racetrack and just let anyone on it, it wouldn't get started, would it? But the fact it's there already, then it's allowed to continue, and the fact it props up the local economy. So let's hope the local economy isn't affected too much by the lack of bikes. The 1984 boy, sad times indeed. Last year it was obvious the organisers didn't want bikes. That's probably what we're saying about bikes weren't always allowed on the track. So many stories from Sliders, most of which can't be told. Well, yeah, Sliders was, I don't think it's open anymore. It was kind of the iconic guest house where there used to be a biker haven. Yeah, I've heard lots of stories about Sliders as well. Maybe if any of you people have been to Sliders, you've got some stories that you can tell. This one's from BJ Ficky. Not cool. They should have dedicated motorcycle days. I agree. Let's hope they do one day. Paolo Ninetti. I think cars and bikes riding together was the unicorn of the Ring. I remember Monza back in the 80s and 90s. Great track. That's in Italy. That's in the middle of a park with those mega long straights that used to have those really good World Superbike races there with the Parabolica at the end. Well, last corner. When on Saturday there was always something similar to the tourist laps of the Ring, but it was open only to cars, whatever car. It was funny but crazy. All in all, bikes should be on track only with other bikes. Of course, everything would be fine if there are enough track days for bikes. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of track days for bikes in the UK, but what I would say is a very good kind of runner-up from the Nurburgring is Spa. Spa is fantastic. It's in the same vein as a Nurburgring. Goes through a forest. It's very undulating, very fast, very historic. There's an incredible electric atmosphere when you go to Spa. Even when you go when there's nothing going on, it's like the first time I ever turned up at Brands Hatch when I was 18. It almost made me cry. I don't know why, but it's just, you're just absolutely paralyzed by the atmosphere. It's incredible. So if you can't go to the Nurburgring, you can do there's lots of track days that go on at Spa. Bikers Days is who I've been with quite a few times. They do track days, they do races as well. I've done 6 hours of Spa with them. Really, really good company. And they run in the summer at Spa as well. Next one's from Joe Sheehan. My best ever memory was having Dale Lomas drive my friends around in the Jaguar limo ring taxi while I followed on my RSV4. He was drifting around almost every corner while I was dragging my knee behind him. Absolutely fantastic fun and a memory I'll never forget. Sad to think a memory as all biking on the ring might be from now. Well, yeah, Dale's evolved into a very good car driver. He used to drive sort of the Jaguar's official ring taxi around there. He's taken me out. One of the things that most surprised me was on a bike, when you leave the track, leave the pits to go on the track, the first couple of corners, you generally don't take very fast because you're warming your tyres up. And also because I'd only go once or twice a year, I didn't know that bit of the track that well. So the speed he did those first few corners before the track links onto the Grand Prix track was really interesting. And talking of which, sometimes you used to do the pay and play at the ring. You used to do about a fifth of the Nordschleife, and then you were directed onto the Grand Prix track, did a whole lap of the Grand Prix track, then came back onto the old track and carried on your lap. So you got like a close to 20-mile lap for your money, which was absolutely incredible, amazing. And like you say, you know, being behind a car when it's sideways, when you're on your Aprilia knee down, there's nothing like it in the world, is there? I mean, highly precarious, but nothing like it. But yeah, great memory. It's from ZX10R Jean or Jean. I'm gutted about this. Some of the best biking moments of my life happened at the Nordschleife. I remember some real good people there too. Some have become dear friends for life. For me, it was an amazing high-speed journey through wonderful surroundings. Also, I love the edgy, naughty feeling it gave me because you're so much aware of the danger over there as a biker amongst all those cars. Bonding between bikers came natural. I love being on track and right next to it, enjoying some food at the Imbis and checking the others out, trying to choose the right moment to go out on track was part of the thrill. To me, banning this is a direct reflection from the current world modus operandi, where more and more is being made safe and efficient, more cost effective and controlled. I couldn't have put it better myself. It was very, very special, wasn't it? And yeah, it's sort of another move from the world to put everybody in their little box, isn't it? And not take away our freedom. That's taking it a little bit too far. It's definitely taken away our fun, isn't it? But yeah, it's just a real shame that something so decadent and kind of loose was ever allowed. And yeah, sad times. But yeah, very well said. Next, we've got Robert Jones, PM3ZK. No more fun. Then this is Progress How. Nicholas Taylor, 5677. Absolutely gutted. Been on my radar for a few years. Was finally going to man up this year and go for it. Goes to show that if you're thinking of doing something, get it done. You only live. You only live. YOLO and all that. You only live once. There you go, got there in the end. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to do something, go for it. JK1168. I went to the ring and back in the same day a few times. Blimey, couldn't do it again. Not surprised. Used to leave London early, get on the shuttle, get to the ring mid-afternoon, wait till they open for the evening sessions, spin laps till closing times, literally ride off the ring to the petrol station to fill up and head back to the UK. Made a late ferry and be home in the middle of the night, wrecked. Wow. So yeah, if you want to do the ring the fastest way, you could probably do it in 4 hours, I reckon. You basically come off the Channel Tunnel, take the E40 past the motorway, past Bruges, towards Brussels, Liège, slightly into Belgium, and then the back roads to the ring. Yeah, and then the ring evening sessions used to open round about 4:30, 5 to about 7, 7:30. So yeah, you could do it. My brother's done it in one day a few times, but he makes Nick Sanders look lazy. Well said. Las1 Go 286. Google Nurburgring Green Hell. That was sort of an event that they named for their open days. You will see what a legend this place is. You go as fast as you want for about 20k with a 600 meter elevation through thick forest and hills without run out or crash zones. It's like a mega computer game, except it's real. Absolutely. Till now, cars and bikes were allowed to lap together, but now it seems like it's over. I guess they will only do separate bike-only events. But that's going to be different, because till now you just rocked up to any open day, paid the €35 or whatever the lap price was, and off you went. Here's a little taste of how it feels to be on a sports bike flat out between the cars on the Nordschleife. And you put a link to the video there, but yeah, there's loads and loads of lap videos on YouTube, so go and check them out. Well said. The Lundeck Z Drodge. Oh crap. One time I had a chance to ride there, but my blade started drinking almost as much oil as fuel. I had to skip the track day. 12 days later, it was still on my to-do list, but now it's too late. More of the story is don't wait too long to fulfill your dreams. Yeah, when I went the first time with Burn Up, my Ducati decided to have a big oil leak on the way home. Luckily, they had a support van to shove me in, but the back tyre was covered with with oil on the left side, and it wasn't until a friend told me to stop. If I'd have gone around the next left-hander, I'd have had a massive crash. Yeah, good old Ducatis, old Ducatis. Next one's from Adam Cameron, 9029. I'm losing hope for humanity. Craig Roberts, 4865. Sad times, although it did make me smile when thinking about the ring stories. I do not know what you mean by that. I've got a double header from Andrew Evans, 6765. Met a guy in the Piston Klaus in the evening. So I think the Piston Klaus was the restaurant of the Tiergarten. That's where the nice steaks and Bitburger beer used to be consumed. He said, I'll take you for a few laps tomorrow. The bikes weren't allowed out due to 2-car fuel tanks splitting in development sessions. He found us the next day. Out we went in the BMW 330D, twatted every wheel on the curbs and finally span and hit a barrier. It was his boss's works car, turned out. Back to the pub by the castle to cook up a story. You know, that's part of the problem. People would take any old car around the track, bounce off the curbs and wreck the car, crash the car or whatever, or dump a load of fluid. And he continues, it was me who replied on X about the couple who crashed fatally. My missus was in a track prepped 993 Porsche when an Aprilia 1200 flew past 2 Up. She said he was going like a madman. We've rode the ring 2 Up many times. It's a shame it stopped because it's one of those great things about motorcycling to do. I managed a time of under 9 minutes after many laps with the guy who had the fastest lap there on a GSX-R 600 and tons of laps on a Suzuki Swift. Love the place and all the history and buzz that goes with it. Yeah, I mean, you don't get to hear about a lot of the crashes that go on, you know, anecdotally. When you talk to people there's unfortunately a lot of stories about bad accidents that happen there, which is kind of, you know, one of the reasons this action has been taken. But thanks for your stories. Two more. Marissa the Muse. This is criminal. Why do we have everything? Or why do we have to do everything all or nothing in this world? Can't we at least have a dedicated day for bikes or something? I'd have paid big money to enjoy this experience once at least before it's gone. Well, yeah, I suppose the only option now is to do one of those track training events. But yeah, it's a shame. And finally, from Marissa K Photography. You the same, Marissa? I've been on it once while visiting family in Europe. Took the rental diesel Polo for a spin. Poor car smelled, my brakes and clutch after. Too bad I never got the chance on a bike. Yeah, a lot of people used to do that. Hire cars, take their company cars around the ring. I think a lot of hire car companies got wise to it in the end. So yeah, so it's a sad time for bikes on the ring. You know, I would have liked to have gone this year on my long-termers, my kind of yearly pilgrimage there. Maybe I'll do one of the track events there. Maybe my girlfriend really wants to ride around it, so she's got a Fantic 500, so maybe one of those kind of parade lap things would be perfect just to get the experience. You know, I'll miss the track, I'll miss that feeling that you get when you finished a session or you finished a weekend there. I'll miss the Bitburger beer, I'll miss the steaks, I'll miss all the people I know there, I'll miss seeing the cars, I'll just miss the atmosphere. You know, as you get close to the ring and you start seeing those cars on the road that you know are either going to the ring or coming out of the ring, it gives you the kind of the buzz. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you didn't like the Nurburgring, I'm sorry for the last half hour or so. If you did, perhaps you can come back to me and comment with some of your ring stories. Keep it clean. See you next time.